Hello, my name is Lindsay Shuck. Thank you for joining today's Family Office Network's webinar series featuring the Richard Taittinger Gallery Expansion Capital Raise Plan. Before we get started, I would like to take a minute to introduce our speakers today. Richard Frerejean Taittinger, founder and CEO. Based in New York City since 2007, Richard is recognized for his expertise in contemporary art, having worked at auction houses, galleries, and as a consultant for art fairs and museums. Pioneer of the Lower East Side Art District, in 2015, Richard founded his gallery on 154 Ludlow Street. Richard is the great-grandson of the founder of Champagnes Taittinger, a $2.5 billion company. Sharon Fair, gallery partner and sales director for RTG, is also joining us. Sharon joined RTG as sales director in 2017, specializing in secondary market sales from a private gallery in New York City. She has sold over 21 million in art from 2012 to 2018. Sharon was formerly a magazine publisher and has over 20 years of luxury brand marketing experience. She began her career working for Andy Warhol at the Factory Interview magazine for 5 years, launched a magazine for the Forbes family, and was in management at Vanity Fair. And lastly, Ernest Jacquet, chairman of the advisory board. Ernest was a principal at Bain Capital and Summit Partners and was co-founder of Parthon Capital, a $4 billion PE fund. He has invested in several growth-oriented businesses, including an early-stage investment in Keurig coffee makers that just sold for over $12 billion. At the end of today's presentation, we will have time for Q&A. Please use your questions chat option on your screen to send over any questions that you have so the team can answer them accordingly.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Welcome everyone to the webinar. Let me tell you about the table of contents of our presentation. So first of all, we will put together a little art market diagnostic. Then we will share with you about the RTG vision, which is a combination of art plus luxury plus technology. Then Ernest Jacquet will tell us about the RTG 2020 expansion capital raise, and then Lindsay will take care of the Q&A. First, let's talk about the art market. What is the art market? I'm pleased to compare for you the art market of today compared to like since 1975. In 1975, it used to be like a very small niche market, about $5 billion worldwide, with 22,000 museums and only 3 art fairs. Last year, in 2019, we were talking about $68 billion market with 55,000 museums and more than 350 art fairs worldwide. Let's talk about now the growth. It's a growing market for the last 20 years. Last year, the main components were first the dealers, the galleries mostly, and private dealers with almost $36 billion. Then the auction with $29 billion, then the art fairs with $60 billion, and e-commerce. E-commerce only $6 billion, but growing very much, with 12% of growth per year. But what is interesting is that picture was before the COVID. And so the big question is, what about the art market as of today? Then, as in 2019, we underlined some strong art industries issues. First, there was truly a cartel situations. It was an opaque market, unregulated, of $68 billion market, controlled by 20 players, which monopolized 80% of the resources. It was kind of a 19th century mindset. The art market was stuck and reticent to embrace new technology, strategies, and concepts. And at last, the least, was an ultra-competitive niche and elitist market. Actually, we found out that there were only 40,000 collectors who were the same clients being courted by the same 20,000 galleries. So to these issues, we are presenting to you a solution, which is a combination of three components: art plus luxury plus technology. Sharon.
Hello, I'm Sharon Fair. I'm the Secondary Sales Director at Richard Tattinger Gallery, and I've been with the gallery since 2017, but I've known Richard for far longer because we have served on a board together and we are friends and colleagues for a long time. Founded in 2015, Richard Tattinger Gallery has created a unique approach that combines art, technology, and the luxury market to become the art leader of the millennium age. Richard Tattinger Gallery as of today. We are a Lower East Side Art District pioneer. We've had 38 exhibitions since 2015. We represent 18 emerging and mid-career artists. We have just signed Johanna Vasconcelos, who is a leading female artist. She had a show last year at the Guggenheim Bilbao. She was the first and only woman to show at Versailles with her installation work. And to show the range of our artists, we have a new direction, and that is to sign Instagram stars. Our current show is a new artist, Mike Perry. He has about 100,000 followers on Instagram, and he has won an Emmy for his work with Comedy Central. So we are very much concentrating on being a technology company. We are ranked in the top 15% of the galleries worldwide in terms of our influence, and that is a July 2020 analysis of 28,000 galleries according to the independent AI auditing firm Wander, which we'll talk about later. We have sold art to 22 prestigious museums, and this includes the British Museum, the Guggenheim, the Albright Knox, the Cleveland Museum. So we are very rigorous in our art placement as well and very prominent in that area. And we have a client base from over 50 countries. So we are very international and we reach them through our wide-reaching website and our promotions in other countries.
Now, let's talk about a comparison from the art market versus a much larger market called the luxury goods market. On your left side, you can see what is the art market as of today, the $67-ish billion market with 40,000 customers, and which is the opaque market, which is based on the sales of unique works. Then on your right side, you can see this luxury goods market, which is 7 times larger, about $340 billion market with 320 million customers. It's a transparent market based on the sales of large editions. So the big question is for us is to increase our base of customers, and we believe that luxury is probably the right direction to go. And since the creations of Richard Taittinger Gallery, the idea was to build the first global luxury art brand to bridge the gap between the luxury goods and the art markets. So, like working, underlining the power of the Taittinger brand to enable this gap. Our plan for the future, how to bridge this gap, is the combinations of e-commerce with the online platform for instant sales, the Instagram breakthroughs, very important. Also to diversify the experience with art fairs, the corporate partnerships, creative music, fashion, and art collaboration. The idea is to increase the art sales, of course, with the museum placement, traditional collectors, but also with a major focus on the millennials. Millennials who are the collectors of today and, of course, of tomorrow. The idea for us is the use of technology. Technology makes sense if it's used on total use, actually, to democratize the art market. We are working on building the strongest art platform, e-commerce. The connection with the millennials audience is essential for us, to like social media, Instagram, Facebook, WeChat, Neo, YouTube, and the others. Then we are using technology also with the artificial intelligence for the selection of the rising artists, stars, using the platform Wonder. Then we are using the VR, virtual reality, in order to create interactive online virtual exhibitions online, so people can, experience on a large scale multiple exhibitions. And at last, use of AR, augmented reality, which is a selling tool for us to preview art on your smartphone, in the future using RTG applications. So prior to buy the work, you can visualize it at your place on top of your couch, for instance. So the idea is that RTG since the beginning appeals to millennials, so, which are supported by the influencer since the beginning. So on your right side of the screen, you can see like very interesting moments. It was like 4 years ago when we had the visit of Miley Cyrus. She liked obviously song made of fingernails, acrylic nails from our female artist from South Africa. And the day after, look how many followers, 240,000 likes for that piece. And on your left side, you can see what we did last year when we started to present social media star with a very interesting South Asian artist called Maria Kamba. On the 1st of August 2019, we had about 1,500 people doing around the block. The idea is to develop the different growth levers, to develop different sources of income. The e-commerce is obviously really important for us. To promote the gallery and sales and trade. But the idea with RTG website is really like to create a very new experience where actually we create relations direct to the final customers. The gallery space still exists, but the idea is to address a much larger crowd worldwide where people can experience the show online and acquire the works actually without going to the space. Now, for the second market, I believe Sharon is obviously the best person to talk about that. Please, Sharon.
I'm very partial to Warhol since I started my career working for Andy. And actually, while I was there, I did a deal between Swatch and Keith Haring, another artist that I knew, which was a licensing deal. So I could see, even back in the 80s, the power of taking art to the masses. I joined Richard, and really we have created the secondary art department at the gallery. We have set up all of the foundation for that, both to conduct secondary market sales, and also that helps to attract our younger artists. And I'll talk about that in a minute. One of the things that was really groundbreaking this year is that, we've been very innovative, and we, for the first time, closed a significant secondary market deal. It was a Picasso, another sterling name, using technology solely. I mean, we used videos, we used WhatsApp. There was no viewing of the piece before the deal was consummated. So, we are very, innovative in our thinking and doing things a new way. It's also very important with this particular area at the gallery, in that when we attract the big names and we're selling secondary market names like Warhol and Lichtenstein, they influence Maria Kamar. And when we sign an artist like Johanna Vasconcelos, who is a very well-known mid-career artist, that attracts the talent of the younger Instagram stars and the millennials. So that's the way that we plan to do that. We made our first $1 million sale in May 2018. And one of the things that we plan to do with some of the capital is to target pieces, especially in the current marketplace. People need to sell their work. And so one of the things that we can do is buy very low, go in with cash. I have nearly a decade of those contacts to do that, and then resell at a much higher level. So it's buy low, sell high in the secondary market.
And may I underline here also, like, I mean, you didn't mention, but for the last decade, you sold for more than $20 million of artwork. So that's quite impressive. Now, let's talk about also the Another very important growth lever for us, it's the prints. The prints, we're not talking about poster here. We are talking about the perfect way to start an art collection.
Richard, we are not hearing you.
I can hear him.
Okay. Is it good? We are good? Perfect. Sorry for that.
Okay.
In France, so maybe the connection is not so good. Sorry for that. So what I wanted to insist on is also the use of prints. Last year, we with the start to represent social media stars, who are like hundreds of thousand followers, we started to produce our limited edition inventory. So we're talking about small edition, about 100 signed by the artist, and which we sell for $500. What is very important here is following the idea of luxury brand. Is the idea like to make art affordable and accessible for a much larger crowd. You have one image when you go like on the online exhibition, you see one image, and actually we sell 100 copies of them. And at last, which is really important, is the increase of the gross margin. So when we are doing these prints, we are talking about more than 80% of gross margin. Now, what's really important to insist is obviously we are more than 3 in this company. I'm very, very lucky to be surrounded by a fantastic team of experts, very dynamic team, very professionals, which are actually people coming from many different backgrounds, not only art, but also from different backgrounds, from the luxury goods, but also from some of them have PhD. It's very interesting. We are talking about 69, 70 years of experience together. That is for the management team. Now, about the advisory board, which is led by Ernest Jacquet. It's a fantastic combination of advisor, expert on many different fields. Recently, a very important figure from the e-commerce joined us. I'm talking about Jay Samit, the vice chairman of Deloitte, who was like a founder of the e-commerce or the music industry. He's helping us to do the same as he did for music industry with the art to make it, to democratize it. And also from the financial side, some persons such as Anne Butlong, who's been following the gallery for the last 5 years, a very key partner. And since the beginning of 2019, Brian Carlton Bird, key element, who introduced us to the group of the Harvard Business School angels, who after 3 months long due diligence process, they for them decided to invest. And at last, also a very key member, Asanka Patiraja, who is working closely with Sir Richard Branson. Now it's my pleasure to let Ernest Jacquet to talk about the expansion capital raise. Please, Ernest.
Thank you very much, Richard. I appreciate that. I too have known Richard for several years. We met socially. He's been to my house on the vineyard, so I didn't invest without giving it a lot of thought, particularly having to do with his energy, his drive, his imagination, his understanding, frankly, of technology. And I want to be clear, I would not have invested in a traditional art gallery. Just no way. It's a lifestyle business. This is not a traditional art gallery investment. This is a technology investment. I want to be clear. And we've now raised half, a little more than half of the 3 million that we're raising in this round, including the Harvard Business School angels, who did a thorough job of due diligence, I can assure you. The opportunity really is to take this funding, the $3 million at a reasonable, I believe, very reasonable value, pre-money valuation of only $5 million, and then take that and expand it into 5 different areas. If you could just jump to that next slide. So the main uses of the capital, and everyone wants to know, like, where's my money going to go, is frankly to expand and develop the online platform. That's very important. Also, as Sharon mentioned, if we had more working capital, we see opportunities all the time where we can buy art at distress levels, and so that would be another area. And then finally, state sales, and we're in that whole general area there. So the company will expand and use that for that. Now, Richard mentioned gross margins. If we go back, yeah, that's fine. Next slide. Yeah. So this just shows the different areas and where's the money, and we're focused on the e-commerce side because of the high 80% gross margins. But the other businesses are all high margin too. So for us to get to over the next 5 years to go from roughly $1 million of EBITDA to 10 million, we can do it because of the cash generating capability of the company itself. This is a great business to be in. It's we don't have inventory. We sign up artists. We have 18 artists under signature now, which is incredible. We're just starting now to capitalize, I would say, or use that word, on the fact of the COVID now is driving people to do exactly what we thought of about, and Richard thought about 3 years ago, and convinced me a couple of years ago. We really need to go online and become a technology. So later we can talk a little bit about our joint venture partner, Wondour, who tracks art and where it goes and who the artists are and how the pricing. So that's a very important aspect of our business model is Wondour, and we'll talk about it in a second. Next slide. So our projections are based on a bottoms-up analysis. I previously was at Bain. I'm an engineer from University of Michigan. I don't just have people say, well, let's just grow sales 25% a year. Nope, that's not how I do it. I remember when back many years ago, 1999, when I invested in Keurig, it was based on a very simple projection based on how many customers and what's our penetration. Well, what we've done is instead a very detailed bottoms-up analysis. So, for example, if we have active working with 6 artists, and they're all on Instagram, they're all very well known, they have a great following. You saw the photograph from last August of the gallery in August, New York City, and the queue around the block of people who followed Maria and then just said, oh my God. And so we sold out of the materials. It was incredible. Well, what we've done now is we said, let's take 6 artists, for example, and let's say they make 7 to 8 different prints for us in a particular year. That sounds good. Okay, these would be limited edition prints, 100 only. We take those 100 and then we multiply that by 4. Why? Because we're able to take the same print and put it in different shadings or colors, just like Andy Warhol did. If you remember the Marilyn Monroe face shot, there's a yellow version, a green, and a pink. So we do the same thing. So we multiply our product, our inventory, by just changing the colors. So if you take that number of artists by that number of editions, it builds it up from the bottom, and that's how we're very confident in our revenue projections. And there is a huge interest. So I think we're exhibiting Mike Perry, and the show is doing great. Next slide. So the breakdown by the category, you can see most of the real business is this online print sales. And you think, well, wait, these are small ticket items, $500, $750 a ticket. Well, they add up. And that's really, you can see the growth driver. If we go out, 5 years, we're going to go from roughly $1 million or $500,000 in sales to over 10 million in these small, attainable art pieces that millennials like, because it is original art signed by the artist and at a price point that is pretty hard to turn down. And for somebody who wants to say, I want to show you my art collection, it's, oh, original? Yes, of course. It's a Mike Perry. Oh, people are very interested in that. I can tell you for sure. Next slide. This is the example that I mentioned a second ago. This is the same artist, same print, same painting or print, and then different colors. So you can see how easy it is for us to replicate and expand our inventory at virtually no cost. Next. Okay, I'm encouraging people to ask any questions today. We have different levels of investment. We've raised about 1.6 of the 3 million. For people who get in and invest at over $250,000, they would be offered the opportunity to be an advisor to the company. What does that bring? That brings special access to Richard and his staff to help you buy art outside of our business model. So, for example, if you really fancied a Picasso or a Chagall and you wanted it, we would help you buy it at a discount and pass that on to you. In addition, it's fun to go to the annual meeting at the family chateau in front of you. So there's a lot of fun in investing in this company, but the most important thing and what drives me as a private equity investor and venture capitalist is the opportunity to invest in a very high growth company that is taking technology and bringing art to the millennials, which is a huge. It was a $6 billion market. I think post COVID it's probably gone up at least to $8 to $10 billion market. People are really flocking to our site to buy art. I can assure you. Last, I'll turn it back over to Richard to do a closing. Thank you for your time.
Right, so thank you so much, everyone, for the Sharon and Ernest for this support for this presentation. Lindsay, are you with us? I think you're going to take care of the Q&A.
Yes, Richard,
we are ready for
so much.
all the questions. Thank you.
Yes, again, I just want to encourage everyone to use their questions chat option to send over any questions that you have so we can have an open dialogue now while we are live. We did have a question come through. If you can kind of elaborate if you're a traditional gallery or a tech company.
That's a very good one. Ernest, would you like to start to answer to that question?
No, I totally agree. I'm the engineer on the staff. Actually, my master's at Michigan, I got honors, was in computer science, so I'm enough to be dangerous here. The key here is the alignment with Wondour. We can demo that for those who are interested. We can arrange a separate tour, but it's very impressive database that's funded by insurance companies and institutions to track artists since the 1900s. So you can literally pick any artist and say, I would like to know what Maria Kamara has been up to. It tells where all her works have been exhibited. It values her works. I mean, how much it was really paid. I think traditional art galleries, you may or may not know, I certainly learned that they sometimes overinflate in the auction situation, or if the piece doesn't sell, they buy it, put it back in their inventory, but they believe that they've done the artist good, but they've overvalued the piece of work. So by us having the Wondour database and tracking all the artists that we work with, plus thousands of others, we're able to show potential buyers of art your piece, and if you bought it 2 years ago, now it's doubled in value, and we can prove it. And that technology enables us. It's data driven, which is what I really like, and totally the opposite of a traditional art gallery where you walk in, and we all experience that sort of embarrassment in an art gallery in New York, Upper East Side, that there's piece of art on the wall, but there's no prices. And you go, oh, and of course they size you up. They decide, I think we can probably get this guy for $25,000, whereas somebody different might be $15,000. So we are very transparent. One of the many reasons I respect Richard is he is very open, very transparent. He really wants to bring art to the millennials and to thousands of people in a fair and honest way, not traditional secret society, traditional art galleries. I won't mention names, but you know who they are. And they dominate the market. And we are now the upstart, literally revolutionizing the art industry. I'm really very, very confident that it's going to change the world.
May I say something to your point, dear Ernest? If we can go back to that point when we see the breakdown of revenue by category, to answer to the question of Lindsay, from a traditional art gallery model to more like tech, driven company. What is interesting is to see the forecast, the breakdown. When you see the traditional source of income for the first year. The first year, you see it's mostly for 2020, 2021, mostly primary market and secondary market, which are the traditional activity of the gallery. And then you see from 22 to 23, then step by step, the online business, the use of the print with the tech together, will take step by step, take over when we have this forecast of $29 million revenue for 2025, where you see like most of the income will come from the online activity. Lindsay?
Great, thank you so much. Charles has a question. He would like you to elaborate on the exit plan for investors.
I'll handle that. I don't think this is an IPO yet. Down the road, if we get the scale, this is a very high cash flow business, so it's pretty straightforward to do a recap in 2 years. The good news is our costs are low. Our rent, frankly, just went down by over 70%. So, and that was a huge fixed nut. So we're cash flow positive. So the likelihood of us being in the market, next year to raise additional capital is very low. And so I think in 2 years, no more than say 3, we would do a recap based on the strong cash flow, 80% gross margin business of the model, and be able to take investors out. They should make at least, in my opinion, 3 or 4 times their money.
Great, thank you. Next question is from Alan. There's 3 questions here. What is the economic arrangement with artists? What percentage on the sale of original art and prints or prints?
Would you like me to handle this one? So the
Yes.
traditional relations with artists, so we are based on contracts. So we ask artists for exclusivity for the US territory. For your information, the US territory is more than 40% of the global market. And the agreement we have to sell original works are 50-50. So based on the net price after the discount, we share 50-50 by the artist and the gallery. That was the traditional model. And then when we started to introduce, let me go back to the prints review, the idea of the prints become an inventory of the gallery. So the way the compensation of the artist is based on copies of the print. So basically, what we do, we produce an edition of 100, and we offer from 10 to 20 copies to the artist. We keep like the remaining 80 copies for us. This way, we increase in much larger our gross margins to about 80%.
So is that clear? That's a very important point. So Richard is a very good negotiator, and he's now established with 18 excellent artists. And most of those, not all, I'm sure, but most of those are based on they make inventory, they make 100, and we give them 10 pieces or 20 pieces max. So there's no really, profit sharing going forward. We own the 80 pieces, and we sell them online and capture all the gross margin.
Thank you. And Alan, if you have any, we will need to go any more into detail on that question, please go ahead and send over another question that you may have. Next, we have Lisa. How do you plan to compete with large auction sites such as liveauctioners.com? And how do you plan to compete or work with large auction houses?
May I start to reply to these questions? And I think also, Sharon, great to have your input. It's important to say that we don't perceive auction houses as competitors. We see them more as partners. The truth is the art market had changed in a tremendous way from before and after the COVID. So the online activity is the future. So the traditional art market is different. So the way we do is we partner with those leading auction houses. For instance, we have been selected a couple of weeks ago by Sotheby's. So we are now on their online selection of galleries. So they are partners, they are not competitors. I think that's an important point to underline. But how, Sharon, can you please share with us your thoughts about this relation with auction? Because indeed we work closely with them. So they are they competitive partners?
Well, I would say that one of the things that as Richard pointed out, one of the things the auction houses is doing now is looking for additional revenue portals. So they are looking to partner with galleries like ours who have high name recognition, and they take a small percentage of the sales of anything that we sell on their site. The other thing that is really important to take into consideration is that we are really partnering with our artists now. So, we have a combination of the Taittinger brand name, and Richard is the only family member who can use that name outside of the champagne business. That has very high name recognition around the world. And we are partnering now with Instagram artists who have their own following. So they are literally bringing their following to us. And it's this partnership between our brand name and our reputation and these artists and their very large followings online. I mean, we are selling a lot of art through Instagram. Just swipe up and, this is the new way to buy art. And we have sold art, to contemporary collectors, at the level of $15,000 from some of our artists over the last 4 or 5 months since we have, accelerated the online platform. So I'd say that, we're not looking at them so much as competition. We're trying to tap into them. And actually, we have a conversation later this month with a major design company that has a large online presence. So we're trying to build partnerships with companies that want the prestige of the Taittinger name and reach a large audience that's separate from ours.
And let me add, if I may, think of we are, because of the the exclusive signing of artists, we are the manufacturer of art. An auction house is a reseller of art, and they charge a margin, and they're subject to tough negotiation from someone selling a piece of art. We make our own art. So we think of it as we're the factory that makes the OEM products. We make the original product and we sell it. And I think if you've ever bought a part from Mercedes or Cadillac, you pay through the nose because they control the inventory. We control the inventory. So we don't compete with the auction houses at all. So we are creating our own art with our artists. We own it, we control it. We own 80% of the product, and we can sell it at a very high margin. So just as Richard said, there are auction houses that want to treat us, we're a client.
May I say something also? It's about the big issue from the traditional art world is the lack of customers. This is like something very, very important, is to understand that this evolution, somehow the art world has to join the 21st century. And actually, the crisis of the COVID really helped the art world to change. It cannot work anymore the way it used to be, waiting for customers to come to the shop. And actually, the truth was, until like recently, when people were coming to galleries, there was no transparency. Actually, it's the only industry where you don't have the pricing on the wall, except for RTG. Since our beginning, we were always transparent with that. But the idea is like, we cannot just, stay with the number of traditional customers. And the whole idea is really like to tap into the luxury goods market, where actually people have the will to join the art world. So instead of waiting for them to come to us, the whole point for us is to come to work through their way, using their same ideas, approach, same platform, in order to approach them with a proper art offer. When you see here, like on that slide, which is very interesting, is the idea is the combination of this art market with the luxury goods market. And if you see on the slide, on the top right corner, you can see something quite spectacular. It's one of the greatest Frank Gehry museum. It's called the Louis Vuitton Foundation. It's in Paris. has been created 6 years ago. And this idea for the last 30 years, the luxury goods market have been using art in order to elevate their brand. So the idea, there is this bridge, this gap, this bridge between the traditional art world and the luxury goods. So the idea is like for us, the future of the art world is to go to that directions to embrace a much larger market of more than 300 million customers.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next question from Alan. He is asking, he says that he saw a gallery offering a virtual tour. So he wants to know how this technology is different.
Virtual tour. Was it at richardtaittinger.com? Because we started our virtual exhibition program actually months ago when we were still at phase 2 for the COVID in New York City. We decided to start a new experience to use a virtual reality to go through the gallery in order to experience and to buy art. It was a success. So I'm trying to understand what is exactly the question, because the virtual reality is like the beginning. But the truth is, when you go to virtual reality online experience, as of today, the technology is not enough. To give you an example, in March this year, there was the first major art fair online. It was Art Basel, Hong Kong. You know, Art Basel has Basel in Switzerland, Miami in the US, and also Hong Kong. And the one of Hong Kong got cancelled, and they started the VR art fair, and it was actually kind of a failure because there was no interaction. So the truth is, as of today, the technology, the offer from galleries is not efficient enough, because there is a lack of interactivity. So that's why our main investment will be dedicated to build one of the best online platforms to have a real sense of exchange where you can meet the people and experience the art world using technology. So I think the VR experience of the art, it's just the beginning, but we are moving fast on that side.
And let me interject also. Just because you have virtual art gallery doesn't distinguish you or separate you from the pack. Again, we create our own art. Our artists have their own followings, and I think, very importantly, we have this alignment. We are an early mover with Wondour. We have a signed partnership with them. For those who are seriously interested in investing, we can have a demonstration on Zoom, and I think you're going to be very impressed with the technology that we bring to the table. So when we say, for example, Richard's gallery is the top 15%, it's not based on our guess, it's based on hard data of over 20,000 galleries and how they are ranked in terms of their influence on the art market. Richard has a real knack for picking hot artists that are growing and then convincing them, he's a good salesman, to sign up with us. So that's the difference. And we'll demonstrate the Wondour program, in confidence, that if people get interested and they want to see that, we would have them sign an NDA, and then we'll have a separate Zoom conference call and demonstrate it for those investors.
The point of Ernest, Lindsay, it's the technology is important, but the content is essential. So the idea is the combinations, again, of art plus with the luxury goods world and technology. It's the combination of the three which will make the difference for the future.
Great. Next question's from Damien. How do you compare with sites like First Dibs, which are also selling art and prints?
Aaron, would you like to take this one?
Yes, I'll take that. I'd say that that they are a marketplace for other galleries, and they also sell jewelry, they sell furniture. They're kind of a lifestyle broker. Again, back to Ernest's point, we're a content provider and a technology company. we're locating and artists that we believe are really important, really hot, have a following, and we're producing their work and we're selling it. So, that's the really big difference between that model and our model of what we have. We are content providers.
Great.
The use of brand is really important. Like when you enter the art world, you need to get like somehow there should be a way to start. So the education is really important for us. So we work very closely with museums. That's very important. But the whole idea for us to elevate the Taittinger brand, for the art world, become like, as we are already like, recognized by our peers from the art world, is open the art world to a much larger crowd.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next question, Spencer Hamilton. He is asking, what is special about your platform with respect to function and form? And what is your brand and story for luxury goods?
There are many questions over there. It's just one question. So for the platform, for all the technology side, if this person is interested, I would like to organize a separate meeting, because that will take some time, and we will join with our partner on the technology. That's really key. We are really like working to build a new platform. Then I think the second question is the connection between the art and the luxury sides. Can you please repeat the question? The second part?
Yeah, of course. The second part of the question is, what is your brand and story for luxury goods?
It's the brand story. So, I mean, it's, I don't know if this person is familiar with the Champagne Taittinger brand. It's been like for quite some time associated with the world of luxury goods, the partnership with the world of the cinema, like luxury goods, hotels, crystals, also baccarat. The idea is like, there is this relation of trust and quality. If you compare again the art world and the luxury goods world, is this idea about transparency from the luxury goods market, from the creation, from the studio, the factory, all the way to final customers, where actually, like if you take the example of Chanel, for instance, Chanel, we have those beautiful, very expensive dresses where actually very few people can afford these dresses. But then on the other side, you have all the accessories, the perfumes, the handbags. So the idea is, when you think about luxury goods, you have a brand where you have this experience with a great image, which could be like, like for us, like for instance, like museums, when we sell like to large institutions, you have gigantic installations, which is market on the marketing side, the Richard Taittinger Gallery RTG brand is underlined, and then we open to a much larger crowd of customers with entry points, which are for us the prints. So this relation with the luxury goods is really important. It's not just about a fancy name. It's about values. Ethical values are very important for us. Our gallery for the last 5 years is well known to embrace like ethical values of millennials, about diversity, about genders. We've been like one of the strong advocates of the early age in America about the African American creations, African diaspora also. So it's not just to buy commodities. When you buy an artwork today, especially when you talk to millennials, it has values. Ethical values are important, but also you need to have these relations with the creations, with the quality and transparency.
And let me point out too that, and this is a very important point the person asked. The Taittinger brand name is very well recognized, very well known. Our goal here is to be a producer of art and then to give it the entrepreneur of, this is a Taittinger. So it means high quality, super high quality production. So we're not just working with a down the street printing company. We work with proprietary printing companies to make the very best product, best prints on the best materials. And so a person buying a piece of art would get the artist, the piece of work, and then there's like a certificate or a confirmation of the value. This is an original. Just like when you go to buy a bag or a grip or something, it says Hermes, you go, this is good quality. I'm going to pay 15,000 for a handbag. And in similar fashion, people will have the RTG brand saying this is certified high quality and original.
That's a very good point. So here you have an example of one of the very first RTG prints we did. So we have a producer partner called Picto, Picto. It's a very old school, top like museum quality printers. They are originally from Paris, and they moved to America 6 years ago, and so they are our official printer. And at the end, what is important is like it's an object. The way those prints comes, they come with the packaging is really important. So they come in the black and white, tube, very elegant, where it's raw and ready to be worldwide. So it's interesting to imagine the potential of such a thing. Art should again be available outside the gallery. That's the whole point. At some point, you might be able to find some RTG, some of your favorite RTG prints at duty free, for instance. What about that? Or to use this relation we are building with a retailer, with luxury goods retailer, to be able to sell our prints.
Thank you, Richard. Next question, Will Ramsey. Are the editions of 100 made from original paintings? And if so, can you describe the editions as original prints?
Sharon, would you like to take this one?
Pardon?
Like
Yes, we make prints of paintings that are created. So, we make a very limited number, 100. So, that's considered a low number in the world of prints. But yes, they're considered, they're an edition, but each one is an original and they're each signed by the artist. So, and we do more than, our agreement with the artist is we do more than one print per artist. We do a series of prints with artists. So we have a large possibility. For example, with Maria, we are doing a number of prints with her now, so that we can satisfy her very large audience of passionate collectors that and followers on Instagram that want to own a piece of her work. So it's considered it's an edition piece, but yes, it's an original by definition.
Well,
each one is hand signed.
And I don't want to catch on the spot, but I mean, a Warhol like this is a print, an edition, and it must have gone up from the price paid 30 years ago. So that's, to me, original art. It has value. It's limited and limited edition. So it's real art.
Yes.
Sharon, as insider, would you be able to share for our friends here online, like what do you remember? What was the asking price of those prints back from the time of?
Well, I would say I'm not sure exactly how much the prints were when they were first printed, but I would say back in the 80s, you could probably get one of these prints for $10,000. Now I'd say that you're looking at retail pricing for some of the prints at $200,000, $250,000 for one of these prints, a Warhol print.
Because it's a limited edition, right?
Correct.
Yes,
so that scarcity. I mean,
scarcity. It's all about supply and demand. Yeah.
And especially after the passing of the artist.
Correct.
Truly. Correct. Lindsay?
Great, thank you. Seems we have one more question, and we have kind of touched on this already, but Samuel is asking, how does your platform differ from other art platforms such as Artsy and others?
Well, that's a very questions.
No, but
I
I like the analogy of we create our own product, our own inventory. We are the original equipment manufacturer, OEM. We make content, as Sharon said. We're not an auction site that just is a reseller. It's a different business. It's low margin. We are 80% gross margin. Why? Because it's our content. We own it. I hope it's clear now.
There is an interesting analogy also to do with Artsy, which is a partner for us. We work very closely with them. It's one of our most recent new investor, actually from the Harvard Business School Angel Circle. He's also an early investor into Artsy. And he told me, like Artsy, I mean, the first offer of Artsy was to create a direct to customer, like direct relation to customer relations, which is not the case anymore. So our point is really like to create like a relation to the final customer. In order, we are not trying to add, like middle people in between the artist and the final customer. Our idea is like to create like a really like direct relation with them using our platform.
Great, thank you. And as Richard and Ernest and Sharon did mention, that if you guys would like to follow up with a Zoom meeting for them, they can walk you through that and give you step-by-step kind of instruction. That seems to be all the questions that we do have for now, but if there's anything else before we sign off, again, please use your questions chat option. Richard, is there anything that you would like to say before we say goodbye?
Yes, there is one thing which is important to understand is, the art world of today, and also to understand about the situation worldwide with the COVID. Because I mean, this plan of development using technology was kind of abstract last year when we started to think about it and approaching traditional people from the art world. Because I mean, there was a very like static traditional relation with the art world, and what we believe in is the art world is not going back the stage before the COVID. Today, I mean, art fairs, most of the art fairs has been canceled. It's, you cannot be in a room with more than 10 people. So the use of technology will be essential. So art was a bit late on the use of technology compared to other industries. So now the question is, who's going to take the leadership today? And we will be delighted, of course, to set up meetings one-on-one with the different experts of the company, and even with our advisory board for any specific questions, and also to discuss any potential new investor.
Thank you, Richard. And on behalf of everyone at Family Office Networks, we thank all of our attendees for joining us today. I will be following up with all of you individually. So if you do have any other questions, or if you would like to connect with the Taittinger team, we can definitely set up a meeting for you. Richard, Sharon, Ernest, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to speaking with all of you soon. Have a great day.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Thank you.